Hi, my name is Whitney Ho, and for this week's film analysis, I did Gender Revolution with Katie Couric. This documentary is about gender identity, and it talks about what it means to identify with the gender as opposed to the gender that someone is given to at birth or assigned to at birth. They also talk about intersex, which is being born with both male and female reproductive parts, the transgender community, and then the controversies around the transgender community. One of the concepts that stood out to me was the phallometer, and they talked about this when they were talking about intersex babies. So, intersex is when a person is born with both male and female reproductive parts. And the phallometer was a tool that doctors would use to determine which gender to assign you to. So if the phallus was less than 3/8 of an inch, then you were determined to be a girl. And if the phallus was over an inch, then you were assigned to be a boy. And about 90 to 95% of babies that were intersex were assigned to be a girl. It was interesting because Brian, who was an intersex baby, explained that um, he has always felt like a boy in a girl's body, and he was an intersex baby. And they went on to talk about how a lot of these intersex babies that were assigned to be a girl at birth ended up feeling like they were male that was trapped in a female's body. Another concept that stood out to me were the actions that universities took to make sure their transgender students were being protected. So at Yale University, they made sure to have enough gender-neutral bathrooms all across campus. They also talked about making sure their transgender students were getting the same and equal opportunity as their peers. So, for example, Katie Couric had asked what if there was a female student that was assigned to a transgender female student when they're given their dorms. And if the female student wasn't comfortable with having a transgender female student as her roommate. And the university's response was that there was nothing they could do because it wouldn't be fair to discriminate against the transgender female student just because the other female student wasn't comfortable with having a transgender roommate. What I liked about this film was how they explained all the different gender identification terms. So what it means to be non-binary, what it means to be a cisgender and transgender, and all of the examples that they used for each section when they were talking about it. So like for example, for transgender, they had Dr. Marcy Bowers. So Dr. Marcy Bowers was first assigned as male at birth and then transitioned into female. And now Dr. Marcy Bowers specializes in gender affirmation surgery. And she explained that she probably on average does about 140 to 150 surgeries in a year. Also, I liked how they talked about what it means to be transgender, how that a lot of people in society think that being transgender is just a phase, and a lot of these kids that they had in the film, they talked about how it wasn't a phase for them, how they knew ever since they were younger that they were a different gender than their assigned gender. And they also talked about cross-sex hormones, so how a child, so if a 14-year-old male child or assigned male child wants to transition to be a female child, they had to get consent from their parents. There has to be a very thorough assessment, and they need to understand the permanent changes